Hello there, that's right, it's the great and glorious, soon to be famous one day NickDutch back on the camera yet again. Now, in recent YouTube history, there's been a few people making videos on the subject of miracles and inquiring as to their nature and essentially what they prove. Myself, someone who purports to be an experimental occultist, I feel I should chime in and say what I see fit or what I feel fit on the subject of the apparently miraculous. Firstly, it's very difficult to say when something has happened that is of a miraculous nature. The first issue we've got to overcome is to ascertain whether something has breached the laws of nature or whether the occurrence itself is in fact in accordance with the laws of nature. Considering that there are many laws of nature which are still to be discovered, it would be more rational to suggest that if something does happen in the universe, it's happening in accordance with the laws of nature. The second issue we've got to deal with is that of the claims of individuals to the existence of a miraculous phenomenon. Two separate individuals will describe the same phenomena in completely different ways. Two different individuals would use different qualities of language and description and evidence to be able to prove their point. Humans are not very good at explaining themselves at the best of times. So can we rely upon the testimony of any individual as to what has actually happened in the world? Essentially, not really. It would, of course, be theoretically possible with a large enough sample to create a social science survey of sufficient quality and depth to be able to ascertain whether something of the right type and of the right quality has happened, which could be regarded as being statistically outside of the norm. However, I don't believe that this variety of investigation has ever been done in the whole history of humanity, let alone the supernatural, apart from maybe in those documented cases of remote viewing that I refer back to in previous videos. So, what can the testimony of various individuals tell you? It can tell you what the individual thinks, what the individual thought happens. It can't necessarily be descriptive of what has actually happened in the natural world. It can speak about observation. It can speak about the quality of an observer's ability to understand what they are perceiving or what they apparently perceive. Then the next step we've got to do is to discuss the assumed mechanisms by which apparently miraculous phenomena occur. People who are of a strong theistic bent would state that the apparently supernatural phenomena is occurring, or the miraculous phenomena is occurring in accordance with either the will or intervention of some divine being, be it angelic or a spirit or God, and so on and so forth. There appear to be very few individuals who purport to be supernaturalists who have thought about just looking at the phenomenon under investigation and to attempt to come closer to understanding the phenomenon and essentially what particular factors have helped to create the phenomenon. The drive or the instinct of individuals who are supernaturalists is to explain or attempt to explain the phenomenon in terms of apparently theological truths, and of course used in the loosest sense of the word. This, of course, goes contrary to the scientific method. Also, it presupposes that it is much more important to be a theologian or theologically or religiously inclined than it is to be scientifically inclined and therefore to, worship, revere, communicate with disembodied entities, rather than to work out what particular functions of the process of communication are in fact being used. By example, there is no way in reason to be able to objectively prove the existence of any entity of a supernatural nature, because you'll just end up performing reasoning in a circle. There is a good enough argument to say that altered states of consciousness of one form or another, possibly instigated by prayer and somehow constrained or controlled with the assistance of belief, may in fact be a part of the mechanism whereby certain varieties of apparently supernatural phenomenon occur. That would make some sense. Of course, prayer and meditation are the two principal means of altering your mind. But the precise phenomena which have to be in place in order to create the results can again not be properly proven. We can look at natural science, neuroscience, and all the rest of that. We can look at psychology and try and find some possible correlations between the apparent things which seem to create a phenomenon and things written about by psychologists. And those are probably the limits that we can reach at the moment, and most lay people can't even get that far, which is probably why they would prefer a theological explanation rather than to try and understand the natural world using a more down-to-earth, rational and scientific method. NickDutch, signing out for now. Good fortune, God and or goddess and or none of the above bless. Speak to you in a while. Bye for now.